punishment has been in our nation for centuries. Some states have added it, while others have abolished it. Human life is the bedrock of our culture. Thus, the concern over whether the death penalty is moral has made it the most persistent and controversial issue confronting our society. There are those who claim that the death penalty is never morally justified for the state to inflict it. And there are those who claim that if human life is to be held in awe, then the law forbidding the taking of it must be held in awe. And the only way it can be made awful or awe-inspiring is to entitle the law to inflict the penalty of death. Today I will show you reasons why I believe the death penalty is unfair and unjust. First of all, who is so high to decide who lives and who dies? When you go to court, a judge decides your ruling, and that's fine, but it's one thing to decide jail time and another to decide your lifetime. Humans make errors due to the fact that we have feeling and act on impulse, therefore making us unfit as judges. David Doe said that 20,000 homicides occur every year. In a busy year for executioners, 1/4 of the 1% murderers are executed. This is a tiny handful that we execute is almost never the worst of the worst. Instead, people are executed because of eyewitnesses make mistakes, police lie, defense lawyers for the poor are in contempt, and judges don't care. There have been cases where judges have had a grudge against the person on trial, and because of this, they have sent them to jail. A fair trial is needed, but can it ever be achieved? Mark Furman of Death and Justice says that capital punishment is driven by two emotions, revenge and ambition. The public says they want revenge for the horrible crimes, but they want that revenge secondhand, carried out discreetly by clinical professionals far away in a very small room. The mob cries for blood, they just don't want to actually see it. And they also are never satisfied with or sickened by the revenge that is carried out for them. They never learn that revenge has no end and it just completes a cycle of violence. Next, can you be 100% sure that the person you're putting on death row is guilty? Innocent people have died on death row. Michael Randon documents 463 cases of wrongful capital convictions in this century. To this date, on record, 119 people have been wrongfully committed. Although the number is low, it is the fact that there are mistakes being made that we need to take into account. Let's take a moment to think before DNA was used to prove people guilty or innocent. How many were wrongfully accused then? Back then, all we had to go on was a person's word or sometimes gut feelings, and we all know people lie and gut feelings can be wrong. Michael also says that we are making godlike decisions without godlike skills, but people don't want to be bothered by that. Another thing we have to take into account is unreliable eyewitnesses who have put defendants on death row. Statistics show that eyewitnesses have misidentified 76% of the people they have accused. Let's move on to another point. What is it costing us to put these people on death row? The death penalty is a financial burden for us. James Gray, Loyal of the Los Angeles Review, says that one of those facts that is almost unknown by the general population is the financial cost of the death penalty cases. Estimates are that it costs taxpayers 7 times more to pursue the death penalty cases than it would to try, convict, pursue all appeals, and keep the perpetrator in prison for the rest of his life. This shows that it's costing us more to sentence a person to death than it is to sentence them to life imprisonment. Also, I would like to show that people who would argue that the death penalty prevents murderers from murdering again are proven wrong by David R. Rowe, who says there are no reliable data indicating that murderers are likely to murder again if they do ever get released from prison. On the contrary, of the dozen death row inmates in Texas whose convictions were set aside on legal grounds, and who are therefore released from prison, not a single one had committed another murder in the following decade. This remarkable statistic is all the more noteworthy because of a psychiatrist called as a witness by the state testified at a trial that of every one of these men, and he was 100% certain that each one would be, if released, would kill again. In conclusion, I have proven how capital punishment is unfair and unjust. Therefore, I have shown you the financial burden it puts on taxpayers, the unfair way of deciding, and the mistakes that are being made when they put innocent people to death. Therefore, I see no other way than to say that capital punishment is unjust.